Are you struggling to find time to read all the interesting newsletters you receive? I'm David Stiernholm and this is Done, the Structure podcast. In today's episode, I'll explain how you can use AI to create a podcast from the content you don't have time to read. But first, to focus on a prioritized task without interruptions, it's important to have well-grounded priorities and a system in place for handling questions from colleagues or others. In a short post on the Structure blog, I share 2 decisions you can make to help you balance working focused and being available. You'll find a link to it in the show notes. There are many newsletters I want to continue subscribing to, but my time handling email is precious, so I have a hard time reading them all. However, when I'm driving, when I'm cycling or on the go in other ways, I have plenty of time to listen to podcasts. Imagine if I could listen to the newsletters I don't have time to read, I thought some time ago. Unfortunately, few newsletters also exist as podcasts. I don't know of any else that comes in both text and audio format than my own Done, actually, that you're listening to at the moment. However, a single comment on LinkedIn from my speaker colleague Daniel Carlson gave me the idea to create an automatic podcast of newsletters using AI. Said and done. When I receive a newsletter in my email, I quickly skim through it. I mark the sections that interest me and forward them to a specific email address with a single click. At the receiving end, an AI reads the texts and creates MP3 files from them. And this is what it might sound like, for example.
Create mind maps in seconds with ChatGPT. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to transform complex ideas into visual and informative mind maps for free using ChatGPT. Step by step, head over to ChatGPT.
When the files are saved, they appear as new episodes in the automatic podcast that I listen to in the app where I listen to podcasts. I can now listen to what I didn't want to spend time reading whenever I want. Does this sound like something for you? You can do as I do. Do this. I have built a solution in the automation service Zapier, and I use OpenAI's text-to-speech module to convert text to audio. Therefore, you need a subscription to Zapier. The cheapest one above the free version is sufficient. And you need a subscription to OpenAI's API. In Zapier, create a new Zap, that is, a new flow of activities triggered by a trigger. Let the trigger that starts the flow be an email from you, coming to the unique email address you get when you add the app Email by Zapier as a trigger. Then, create the activities you need to remove junk from the email using the app Formatter by Zapier, so you only have the clean text left as much as possible. Create an activity that takes the text and lets the app OpenAI convert text to speech, read it and spit out an MP3 file. Create an activity that saves the MP3 file in a cloud storage service you use. I have chosen Dropbox. And create an activity that, after the MP3 file has been saved, creates a new post in the RSS feed you define in the activity. Now the Zap is ready in Zapier. Add a new podcast in the app where you listen to podcasts. Where you're prompted to enter the feed for the podcast, enter the address of the RSS feed you received in the step before this. And you're done. And I know this is a somewhat more advanced tip than many others I have shared over the years, but since I have such great use of this solution, I couldn't help but tell you about it. Because if you create a similar automatic podcast to the newsletters you don't have time to read, you can stay up to date on the topics that are important to you to a greater extent than otherwise. You will be served a quick summary of what's new, and you can go back to the original email and read more carefully if there's something you want to delve deeper into. Have you created another text-to-speech solution that helps you in your daily life? Write to me and tell me about it, because I want to get even more ideas on what I can do to make my work even easier. You can reach me, as usual, at david@stiernholm.com. Thanks for today, and see you again next week.